Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Good evening. We're going to get started with our public speak out portion of our meeting. We have one person signed up for public speak out, Mr. Russell Seelig.
Good evening. My name is Russell Seelig. I live at 38 Oxford Street in Springfield. In the spirit of public disclosure, I was a Boy Scout 75 years ago. So you guys can figure that out. I was a Cub Scout master 50 years ago at Faith United Church on Sumner Avenue. Thank you. But I'm here tonight to talk about how the Board of Assessors handles information requests, 38Ds, that are sent to investment properties in the city of Springfield, asking for their income and expense information so the assessors can accurately value their properties for property tax purposes. You have a copy of an ordinance in front of you. The ordinance for such a request is in a state statute, Chapter 59, Section 38D. And that, I think, is probably the second page of the handout. The statute specifies a penalty for those property owners who do not respond to the 38D requests. Those penalties, $250 for commercial and industrial, and $50 for residential, are on page 2 and underlined. Also underlined on that page are the words "shall be assessed," and further, but only if the Board of Assessors inform the owner or lessee that failure to so submit such information would result in a penalty. The assessors do make that notification. A copy of the letter, the cover letter that's sent out with the information request, is attached to the attachment. In capital letters, bold and underlined, is the statement, "Failure to comply with this request will result in a fine of up to $250 to be added to your tax bill and possible loss of your appeal rights." In spite of the above very clear language, the Board of Assessors does not assess the prescribed penalties against those non-responders, of whom there are about 1,100, depriving the assessors of information needed to accurately assess their properties. Some may feel that their properties are undervalued, and supplying the information would only cause their taxes to go up. So some of them have a vested interest, a strong financial interest, in not responding. If the legislature wanted to make the assessments optional, it would have written "may be assessed," but they did not write "may be assessed." They used the words "shall be assessed." In any case, it's unfair to those property owners who do the paperwork and provide responses, while the non-responders to their information requests get off scot-free. In addition, the penalties would amount to an estimated $225,000 a year to be added to the property tax revenue. There is still time this fiscal year for the penalties to be applied. The penalties could be applied on the fourth quarter tax bill, which goes out in about 3 weeks. With electronic databases, it's easy to transmit the information about the non-responders from the assessors to the collectors. The collector would add this onto the tax bill. It would not be a separate mailing of a penalty. But all indications are that the assessors are not going to assess the penalties. And further, there's even some question as to whether or not the penalties will be assessed in the coming tax year, which begins July 1. So the question is, what's going on here? Why not obey the laws of the Commonwealth? Why not benefit the city of Springfield because the law demands it? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Time is now 7:03. We will begin with our regular meeting. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Williams. Present Council Twiggs. Present Council Shea. Present Council Gomez. Present Council Walsh. Present Council Fenton.
Present.
Present Councilor Letterman.
Present.
Present Councilor Edwards.
Present.
Present Councilor Ash.
Here.
Here Councilor Hurst. Present Councilor Ryan. Here Councilor Allen. Absent Councilor Ramos.
Present. If everyone could please rise and join me in a moment of silence. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening we have some special guests with us who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have members of Cub Scout Pack 49. When I call your name, please step forward and join me up here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have Devin Davis, Kevin Davis, Valentine Brown, Alex Backer. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Sean Manley, Ethan Burt, Trevor Plant, Blaze Baker, Ethan Rivera, Janeth Ray, Enrique Smith, Jose Sedano, Janita Sedano. Great job. Thank you. Are there any reports of committee? Council Gomez.
Yes, today we met at Economic Development with the nomination, the appointment of William Duquette from 91 Mulberry Street. I was councilors were present, subcommittee member for Economic Development, Councilor Lieberman, and I was also joined by Councilor Kenneth Shea. And I'll just talk for the next time to get to that point of view.
Thank you. If there's no objection, all in favor of accepting the committee report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right. If there's no objection, Mr. Clerk.
Item number 4, the confirmation of the appointment of William Duquette to the Historical Commission.
Economic Development met today, the appointment by the mayor of William Duquette. William Duquette is the son of H.R.G. Duquette, former Park and Recreation director for the city of Springfield under Ted Geiser. He's a lifelong resident. He's lived on Mulberry Street for 15 years. And from my colleague, Kenneth Shea, tells me that he was a resident of the actual Forest Park, inside of Forest Park, which no longer nobody lives. But that was very interesting, just some facts. Mr. Duquette has been waiting for this type of appointment to come up. He has been asked to serve on other commissions, but when this opened up, this is exactly what he's been waiting for from when he tells us at the subcommittee. I rise in support of his nomination, and if I just want to say thank you, and hopefully, the councilors, we move to unanimously support his nomination. If any councilors have any questions for him,
Mr. Duquette, the floor is yours. Is there anything you would like to add?
Okay. Well, are there any questions? Does anyone have any questions?
Council Walsh.
Yes. Oh, when Dr. No, that was a long time ago, catering. I'm sorry. I'm not that old. Okay.
Mr. President, I've known Mr. Duquette for quite a while, and I know how dedicated he is to the city of Springfield, and to the Historic Commission, and I don't know if you remember that I believe you were the leading person on the effort to save paintings at Classical, which demonstrates your interest in the arts and the preservations in the city of Springfield.
Right.
Is very, very knowledgeable, and I think he's going to add an awful lot to that particular commission, and I'm very pleased to see you being nominated.
Councilor Letterman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I too rise in support of Mr. Duquette's nomination. Mr. Duquette's well known in preservation circles. I've had the opportunity to actually visit his historic home on Mulberry Street, which he's worked very hard to restore. And I think it's that's a really great testament to his qualifications for this committee. As a historic homeowner myself, and those of us who have the honor of owning those properties, we know it's a life lesson every day in historic preservation. And one of the biggest responsibilities of the Historic Commission, of course, is having homeowners come before them with their projects, their remodeling, and various things of that nature. It's very important for those committee members, in my opinion, to be able to relate to the residents that come before them with these projects and to be able to be fair, but also have an eye towards preservation. I think Mr. Duquette will do an excellent job of that. And I also want to say this seat is being vacated by Mr. Ben Murphy, who has served many years on the Historic Commission, big shoes to fill. And we want to be able to, at a future date, thank him for his service to that commission. But I believe Mr. Duquette will be a great person to fill that seat.
Is there any other questions or comments from the council? Sir, is there anything else you would like to add?
Well, no, but I thank you all for these kind words. This is something I am very, very passionate about, and I hope that we can be very successful in the coming years. There are a lot of things in the city that are happening that we need to take a very strong look at, and I think that we're going to do this.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
On approving the appointment, Councilor Williams.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Twiggs.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Shea.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ash.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ryan.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen. Absent. Councilor Ramos.
Yes, more than sufficient. Order is approved. Congratulations.
Well, I thank you all very much.
Thank you. Councilors, I'm being reminded by the folks at Focus Springfield to turn on your microphones when you're speaking and turn them off when you're not speaking. Are there any other reports of committee? Seeing none. Item number 1, Mr. Clerk.
Items number 1 through 3 are items that are in committee. Item 1 is the free cash is an order to transfer from free cash to the Economic Development Fund $100,000. Item number 2 is a ordinance to create parking times and limits. Item number 3 is a Chief Diversity Officer ordinance. Again, these items have been in committee since the last meeting on the 5th. For that reason, if any of these items want to come out of committee, they would need a majority vote of the council. If there's no vote is taken, they will remain in committee until the next city council meeting.
Any questions or comments on any of those? Councilor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like just to mention that in regards to the agenda item 2, parking time limit inquiry deposits, we can't seem to find who actually filed this ordinance, and maybe the clerk can speak to that.
If I could clarify, this ordinance will actually not reappear. It was improperly submitted. Okay. It was submitted by an individual in the parks, in the DPW department. Okay. They just submitted under the wrong name.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. And in regard to the Chief Diversity Officer ordinance, I am working with Councilor Edwards and clerks to schedule that meeting within the next couple of weeks.
Thank you. Councilor Edwards.
To that point, Sue should be sending out a notice as we speak now. That meeting is scheduled for Thursday the 21st at 5:30.
I believe it was Wednesday, correct?
Wednesday 21st.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda, Mr. Clerk.
The next item is item number 5. This is an order to transfer $80,000 from free cash to the Facilities Municipal Building Services.
Thank you, Mr. President, to the council. We're asking to transfer $80,000 to replenish the snow account in the facilities budget. Unfortunately, this does not account for what's coming tomorrow. We were hoping that we're going to be done with transferring funds for snow. Unlike the DPW, the Parks and Facilities Department cannot deficit spend the snow and ice account, so we have to come to the council for appropriation to put money into the account.
Council Fenton.
Mr. Plant, what did you think about the Pledge of Allegiance earlier today by those?
I thought it was excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilor Letterman.
This is for snow removal in our parks.
In our facilities department as of right now. So I think the parks has enough for one more storm, but we will be back for tomorrow's storm and also for anything that needs to be done in the parks.
But this isn't for the clearing of streets. This is for our municipal.
Correct. This is for the municipal buildings.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, this is a financial order subject to Rule 19. All in favor of suspension of Rule 19, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
On approving the transfer, Councilor Williams.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Twigs.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Shea.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ash.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ryan. Yes. Councilor Allen. Absent. Councilor Ramos.
Yes, more than sufficient. Order is approved.
The next item is an order to transfer $40,000 from free cash to the Office of Management and Budgets.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, through to the council. This order it's been a long time in the making for the request by the city council to have a compliance unit. I know with the responsible employer ordinance and through federal grants and HUD grants and all the things we have, we've actually created a unit with 2 people in it. One position is posted and just about to be interviewed, and the other person that has been in the position for, I don't know how long, Che? So, so those who don't know, we appointed Patrice Swan into the senior project manager position under the Office of Management and Budget to be able to be the first person hired in the compliance unit. So we're excited that this is happening. We have an REO reboot, a 2.0 of the REO that we're going to kind of have a lot more teeth because of the disparity study, so we'll be presenting that next week. And the other piece to this order is bringing back the grants director position that we once had in the city. The position when we had it a number of years ago now, was able to coordinate more and new grant opportunities that we're kind of new opportunities we're not going after now. You know, some of the departments have become complacent in the grants that they apply for. Like the last grants director brought in millions of dollars of new revenue. We did a cost allocation plan to allow us to charge funds back to grants that saved over $220,000, and we have the same similar results expected of this. The twist to this one is working with Pat Sullivan and the Parks Department and Jesse Letterman and the others about this. We're adding a focus on sustainability. I know we have the Climate Action Plan. We have all these things that we want to look at things in green. So half the job or a portion of the job is going to be dedicated to finding sustainability models and grants that go after it. With the commitment that if there's enough grant opportunities out there that we can create a sustainability coordinator under the direction of the grants director, that's the ultimate goal. But this is a nice way to marry the grants director, which the city needs, and the sustainability coordinator, which the city wants, and try to do the baby steps to get there. So I'm pretty excited about it. The funding for this is partially funded by HUD grants that we have. So for all the stuff that the compliance unit will do on HUD grants, they'll charge the HUD grants. For all the stuff they do with the REO, they'll charge the general fund. This is the general fund.
Councilor Edwards.
Rise in support of both of these proposals. I want to take this opportunity to welcome Patrice to the workforce of the city. Many of you know him as the former director of the South End Community Center. He weathered the storm of the tornado and the rebuild of the new center, state of the art. If you have not had an opportunity to be down there, you should take an opportunity to do so. His second in charge is now first in charge is Mr. Wesley Jackson, and we wish him much success. as well. You've heard me speak time and time again, and our former colleague Bud Williams as well, and my colleague Tim Allen, but there's members in this chamber who voted to create the original REO before we switched over to ward representation. Over the last 8 years, I've had the honor of chairing that committee, and the need for a compliance officer has always been at the forefront, but now we have an agreement with the mayor, and I want to thank the mayor, I want to thank TJ, the staff, Ms. Hope Button, Pat Sullivan, all the members of the committee, and the law department for their patience with me. But this is something that is really in need. I support both issues. The REO we've been discussing for years, but the ideal of having somebody who is focused on acquiring grants and the sustainability part is also good for our environment as well as our local economy. So I'm hopeful that all of you will be in agreement and support this. I know these are lean times and it's budgetary times, but these are two positions where if they're done right, they can actually save us money, and the money that will be spent judiciously. And so I'm really thankful for the support of TJ, the mayor. Welcome, TJ. Welcome to Che or Patrice Swan, and I would hope that all of you would support both issues. Thank you.
Councilor Letterman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I too rise in support of this agenda item. On the REO side of it, the hiring of Mr. Swan and his soon-to-be second is extremely important for our city. I think I would echo Councilor Edwards in terms of benefits of the REO, in terms of ensuring that residents of the city of Springfield are being employed by folks who we contract out to, that those employments are diverse and that they strengthen our city. As far as the grant coordinator goes, with a focus on sustainability, I've received a number of letters from residents from the city of Springfield. I know other councilors have as well, encouraging us to fund a sustainability coordinator or a position relating to sustainability. And the Green Committee, a subcommittee of our city council, also submitted a letter requesting that line item to the mayor in recent weeks. And I think that this is a great step forward with regard to that. I think the mayor's administration is really extending a hand, saying they're open to looking at a position like this. And I think combining it with a grants coordinator whose job it is to really bring funds into the city to make initiatives possible is really a very intelligent one to get started. Many of you know the Climate Action and Resiliency Plan that was unveiled at the end of last year was a significant investment by the city, over $200,000, talking about how we can make our city one of the most sustainable in the Commonwealth and in the country. And if we're going to see that move forward, our city departments are going to need funds coming in. So as Councilor Edwards stated, these are positions that in the long run are going to bring more revenue into our city and enable us to do more for our constituents. I just want to check in on one question for TJ, which is with regards to the grants coordinator. Can we also confirm that person will be in regular communication with committees like the Green Committee with regards to the progress of the CARP and
absolutely.
activities?
The way I envision the position is to report monthly, quarterly, whenever the committee meets and wants an update on kind of what activities are happening.
That's fantastic. And as you said, going forward later on, 6 months, a year from now, we can look at the monies that have come in and see about expanding that position.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. And I would encourage members to vote in support of this item.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. All in favor of suspension of Rule 19, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
On approving the transfer, Councilor Williams.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Twiggs. Yes, Councilor Shea.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Gomez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh. Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Ash. Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Ryan. Yes, Councilor Allen. Absent, Councilor Ramos.
Yes, more than sufficient. Order is approved.
The final item on tonight's agenda is an order to transfer a parcel on Oak Street by quitclaim deed.
Good evening. My name is Tom Matthews. I live in the city of Springfield and I work for the Office of Planning and Economic Development. The item before you is a transfer of several parcels for a redevelopment project in this Indian Orchard neighborhood. The city recently approved the tax amendment back on February 5th, for those who don't remember. Tonight's item would formally transfer the properties so the owner can begin his work on the project. The property all have long-term contamination and monitoring responsibilities, which the new owner will take the responsibility of, and the city doesn't have to worry about that any longer. In addition, they plan a redevelopment consisting of solar, self-storage, and some limited agricultural use. The project has received the support of the Indian Orchard Neighborhood Council. The city will receive the sale price of $15,000 as well as new tax revenues. With tonight is Mark Murphy and Roger Roberge from R&R and Company Realty, and we'll answer any questions we may have for him. The company was the only bidder on this RFPs, which has gone out several times until these gentlemen stepped forward and came up with their decision. The first location is the east side of Pineville Street. The bid was $5,000. This is a vacant parcel that is 694,113 square feet, or 15.94 acres. The EPA has cleaned all this lot in the fall of 2015 at the cost of $295,000 that the city did not have to pay for. The developers plan to develop the following usage. The first one is the orchard, which is cultivating fruit trees and using Putnam students as their labor. The second is a solar farm, and that will be in the middle of the parcel, and self-storage facility, which will be climate control facility that will be powered by the on next door neighbor solar farm. The second location, the north side of Oak Street parcels, the bid was accepted at $10,000. The 3 Oak Street parcels are empty and have been capped by the EPA standards. The 3 parcels are a total of 962,241 square feet, or 22 acres. The developer planned to develop this into a solar farm. These plans for the projects have been reviewed by the mayor, the assessor's office, as well as this committee right here for the city council. The benefits for these 2 bids, it brings 4 parcels to be added to the tax rolls instead of being on the tax title list. The blighted lots will be transferred into productive parcels that will improve the area. The neighborhood appearance will improve, and safety in the neighborhood will increase. All 4 parcels have been cleaned by the EPA. If you have any questions for Mark and Roger, please, now's the time.
Any questions or comments from the council? Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't know if I have any questions. That was a very good presentation that you gave. And knowing the people involved in R&R, they have a great track record for the city of Springfield. Everything that we came before us, they said they could do, they have done. They have definitely increased our tax bills. I wish you success in investing in the city. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Clerk? Oh, sorry, Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a question about what Mr. Matthews indicated regarding self-storage facilities. Can you just speak to the plan for that parcel, how you're going to develop it, and what role the storage facility will play on this parcel?
Roger Roberge, we'll propose developer here. The potential usage at that site is three potential usages. We look to kind of subdivide the space so as to maximize its benefit, from an economic perspective, but also to the neighborhood. So our proposed usage was for a solar farm, some urban agricultural, and then with a climate-controlled or a mini storage facility. The economics of which, will be vetted out through the permitting process and the site work as we go through the environmental compliance work on the site. Essentially, it's some additional storage facility there. The proposal there is for that to be tucked kind of in the back, and landscaped around, and manicured, and kept looking appropriate for.
How big of a storage facility are we talking about? I mean, are you talking about people would be able to rent space to store goods when they're downsizing their house and haven't found a place to put it?
Essentially that. A much smaller, it's approximately the rear third of the lot, and it's a little choppy back there. I believe that section of the parcel is approximately just under 3 acres.
Do you know what the zoning district is for that particular parcel?
Industrial.
It's industrial A, I believe.
Oh, it is industrial A.
Yeah. That's the former Chapman Valve site there.
Okay. All right. Well, excited about the overall development plan. I'm curious about how that storage facility works with the rest of these things, but I suppose you'll go through the planning process at the appropriate time, and if it requires a special permit, then you'll be back before us, and if not, you can go right to a building permit. But either way, thank you for your commitment and your investment.
Thank you, Councilor.
Any other questions or comments? See none. All in favor of suspension of Rule 19, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
On approving the sale, Councilor Williams.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Twiggs. Yes. Councilor Shea.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Gomez. Yes. Yes. Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ash. Yes. Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Ryan. Yes. Councilor Allen. Absent Councilor Ramos.
Yes, more than sufficient. Order is approved. So any further business?
I have no further business.
I just have two quick announcements. First, we have a committee of the whole meeting scheduled for next Thursday, March 22nd at 5:30. That's for the purpose of discussing the study that was done through the REO committee that we approved, I want to say last year. And so they'll be presenting the findings of that study to us on Thursday. Secondly, I may be scheduling another committee of the whole meeting for Monday the 26th, prior to our hearings meeting. At the request of a couple of our colleagues, we want to have a conversation with our state delegation pertaining to the FY19 budget and the priorities of the City Council. And so I may be scheduling that for Monday the 26th prior to our hearings meeting. Councilor Hurst.
I also just want to make a quick comment. I just want to congratulate our colleague, Councilor Walsh, for being honored on International Women's Day. She did a wonderful job, not only in planning the occasion, but also in being one of the awardees. So congratulations on behalf of the entire council.
Congratulations. Councilor Walsh.
This March, Women's History Month, the focus is on women in public service. In addition to myself, a member of the Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women, Denise Hurst, was honored, and the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Massachusetts. Mr. President, I thought you were going to say Happy St. Patrick's Day, and don't forget the parades on Friday and Sunday, and hopefully both of them will be snowless. So, see you on the parade route.
Thank you. Councilor Shea?
Yeah, could I, just one quick thing. Is there any way the council can send a letter to the assessors relative to the issue that Mr. Gentleman spoke about earlier? It seems as though that's in the statute and not to be done. It's money that's just going by.
Mr. Seelig has brought this issue before us in the past, and I agree. I think that it's time that the council, have that conversation. I know that we've talked about this in committee in the past, but if you're requesting a letter on behalf of the council, I'll be happy to draft something and ask my colleagues to sign on if you're interested. Thank you. Councilor Edwards.
I believe that obviously, this is not a new issue and has been brought before us several times. There's been multiple conversations between Russ and the assessor's office. And it's not to dissuade the writing of the letter of or the vocalization of our support, but we are all aware that there is a lawsuit that has been filed, a class action, and Mr. Seelig is a part of that action, and he's asking the judge to actually force the assessor to enforce, and I believe this is one of the aspects of that lawsuit.
Thank you for that reminder.
But my comments are not in any way intended to dissuade us from drafting a letter of support or some comment from the council as to why we're not enforcing law as stated on the statute.
Councilor Letterman.
Members, I would just encourage us before we make any decisions about that we do hold a committee meeting and duly notice that meeting and discuss any action the council might want to take in a noticed committee meeting.
So that would be under the General Government Committee. So if Councilor Edwards would like to schedule that meeting, then.
Would it be appropriate to piggyback that one on the meeting scheduled for the 21st?
Sure.
Should be a notice for those of interest. Does that seem appropriate to my colleagues?
Yeah.
I'll certainly ask them to include it as part of the published agenda.
Thank you. All right, if there's no further business, meeting adjourned.